There are so many times in healing, in coaching, in personal growth, where you will hear the advice given be, just trust yourself. You just need to learn how to trust yourself. And there are also some very specific times where the last thing you want to do is trust yourself. That's what we're talking about in this video, when to not trust yourself and what to do instead. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome back. Leslie Huddart here. I am an empath myself, as well as a spiritual guide and healer. I'm a trained acupuncturist, and I help healers, empaths, and sensitive people release the trauma trapped in their body without going to years and decades more of therapy. I specialize in the technical area of subtle body work, of the technical side of the mind-body system. And this is very relevant for what we're talking about today, times when you cannot actually trust yourself. Now, to really get to the cause behind the scenes, we recognize that in the subtle body method, which is how I train people, that we have different layers of a human mind-body system. And the problem is that we have different parts that are often in opposition to each other. We have the way of the mind, the way of the heart, and it's not as simple as we sometimes hear of just trust your intuition. Anybody that just tells you to just trust your intuition, no matter what your crazy intuition is telling you, is maybe missing some keys on the inside, because we are more than just intuition, and just the idea of intuition is not well defined. There are some technical parts to that, and what you think is intuition might actually just be wounding old habits and mental delusion. So let's start with the 3 times when you should really not trust yourself, and then at the end we'll talk about what to do instead to keep you on the path to having the best parts of following your inner knowing without falling short to delusion and self-sabotage. Number 1 situation where you should not really trust yourself is when you know there is a lot of charge to the situation. What I'm really saying here is when there's a lot of fear. If there is something in your life that you have a lot of desire and grasping of and fear around, things where things have gone bad in your life in the past, this is a place where you are not clear. You are not cleared to be the holder of the nuclear codes in your life at that moment, because there is too much fear operating in the system. And even when you get a sort of inner message that comes up, it's likely that it's actually sneaky fear in sheep's clothing. So this is a red flag. If you know you're going into a situation where you have to make a decision or take some action, and you know that you have a lot of fear or nervousness or wounding around the consequences or this whole subject, not a clear time to trust your decision. 2, if you notice in a situation that bad feelings or the bad way for you starts to feel normal. I'll give you an example. I was working with someone recently who's working on revamping the way that they show up in relationship. And she's been working on this for quite a while and has done a lot of good inner work. And she said, Leslie, I notice that I actually feel like my system might have this kind of addiction to the ebbs and flows, the roller coaster of being with a guy who's a little unstable, who sometimes is really nice, but then sometimes is kind of mean. I noticed that actually felt normal to me. Whereas her current situation, where she's dating a guy who is consistently very nice to her across things, feels a little weird to her body. So this is what I mean when I say, if you notice that your system is doing a weird thing, where the good thing that you've been telling yourself that you want feels a little weird, or maybe just meh, I don't know. But the thing that you're sort of drawn to that feels normal, that you notice your system almost having an old addiction habit to, is the negative thing that your observer mind can look at and be like, girl, that's crazy. That is a time to know that you are not clear to make a decision. Situation number 3. If you are in a situation in an area of life where you don't have a great track record, be that relationship or at work or situations with an authority figure or men who seem to know what they're talking about even when they don't, or women with a certain strong personality. If you notice that you don't have a great track record, if you see yourself, if the little observer on your shoulder sees you in this situation of a place where you have often gotten stuck in a pattern, you are not clear. It is not time to check your intuition, because your intuition is going to be highly, highly censored and going through these filters of wounding. So what do we do instead? Well, it's a pretty straightforward process to eliminate as much as we can the mind errors and delusion, and to trust ourselves in a deeper way. One is that you learn to ask your body and not your mind. Now, I have a separate training on this. I will link it down below. You may already have learned some of these ways to even just get like a yes, no answer out of your body. So asking questions towards your body, which might sound weird, that's why I've got a whole other training on it down here. It'll take you a couple minutes to do that. You can pause this and come back. Is that our body knows more than our minds. Let's just say that again, because it's very important. Your body knows more than your mind, your physiology, your mind-body system. This has actually been tested even in a Western way. They have done experiments where they sat people down in front of a computer and hooked them up onto various biometrics so they could sort of notice their nervous system reaction. And on the computer screen, they would flip up either a picture of something very happy, puppies, rainbows, or something really disturbing and destructive. Death, war, destruction, Hitler, things like that. And what they found in this very Western-y experiment was that the body reacted seconds before they actually split, fractions of a second before the photo actually appeared. The body actually reacted in a more positive way or a negative way, depending on what the picture was going to be. This is just one little way. We don't even have to go into deeper traditional sort of understanding about, how the mind, body, and the nature of reality works to even see that the body knows more than the mind. So number one technique is to learn different techniques, and I'll link that one below, of asking your body questions first, learning how to trust your embodied understanding versus the mind, and even versus intuition, because intuition exists in this sort of liminal space in the mind body and is easily co-opted by the mind. So especially if you're in these sort of danger areas where you shouldn't be trusting, you need to have a more concrete way. The body will always know more than the mind. Number two is, after you've asked your body, you go to what I call trusted Dharma friends and trusted advisors. Now, what's a Dharma friend? That's a term that I'm using for a type of friend who ideally is also on the personal growth, trustable path. That they are someone who you have a good soul agreement to really give it to you straight, to not bullshit you, someone who can listen really well, someone who, and this is very important, through the experience and the example of their own life, shows that they are trustworthy. Not someone that just likes to talk about something and is going to throw some ideas at you, someone who is actually living it. This is true for your friends. So it's not just every friend. You're going to have a myriad of friends in your life, but they are not all what I would call Dharma friends or trustable, work on the self-growth path, deep wisdom type of friends. Those are the friends that you want to ask for reflection. You go to them and say, hey, I got this thing that's coming up. I know that I'm not clear in this situation. Here's what's going on. What kind of feedback can you give me? And people that you can trust to give it to you straight. Also in that category, trusted advisors, professionals, coaches, mentors, spiritual guides who, again, from their own radiating experience of results are shown to be trustable. So that's your second. You start with the body, then you go to your Dharma friends and trusted advisors. This in itself will create the most certainty that we can have. Life is a varied adventure, and we do not always know what destiny holds. But if you start employing these things of asking your body, asking trusted friends and trusted advisors, and then sometimes you can also apply number three source of going to trusted spiritual wisdom. This doesn't always apply, but if you are a student of a more ancient spiritual tradition, really continuing to learn not just about the way of life or the nature of reality at a deeper level, but also how we can get caught and where the delusions are, knowing and having that can also be a possible third resource as well. So we do not know what nature holds, what destiny holds, what life holds. It's sometimes not possible to have the logical best thing. We can only find what is the best next step forward for us. I remember a business coach saying once, you just have to focus on what is my next best move. And we can move past high levels of mental delusion and self-sabotage by employing these methods and knowing when we're clear and when we're not. I hope that this serves you. You are a soul with a body and you deserve great things. I want to help as many people as possible. I can't do it without you. If you know someone, who do you know, that could really benefit from where they are in their life right now by hearing this message? If so, please send it along to them. And if always you want to like and subscribe, that's great. It helps us to get our work out to more people, and that really helps my heart sparkle. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time.